Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Dr. Sherwood-Randall, for coming before us today and for our meeting on Tuesday. And I want to start by saying that there are 3 young men sitting behind you who are much better behaved than Senator Hoeven is, where I am today.
Can I say that the chairman has noticed that? Thank you, Senator.
Yeah, I don't know why they're being so respectful and polite, but whatever you've taught them to do, we'd like to know about it. So I want to talk to you about an issue. You know, Senator Scott just talked about a big issue for South Carolina. I'll talk about a huge one for Ohio. We just got word that nearly 700 workers employed at the cleanup of the Portsmouth gaseous diffusion plant in Piketon, Ohio, are going to be laid off. And this is a big deal. It's about 1/3 of our total workforce there, about 1,900 people. And this is a cleanup that has to occur. You know, it's something that everyone agrees is necessary. It's the old technology with regard to enriched uranium, and Congress has specifically charged DOE with this responsibility. In fact, since 2005, the Office of Environmental Management has been overseeing this cleanup at Piketon. I'll quote you from a letter in 2008 that went to Governor Ted Strickland. It was from President Obama, and he said, "I will work with Congress to provide adequate funding and will direct the Energy Department to commence decontamination and decommissioning activities of those facilities which are no longer needed and maximize the employment of site workers to achieve this end. The failure to clean up the site quickly will delay future economic development opportunities and only add additional mortgage costs and pose undue environmental risks." Well said. And as you and I talked, I worked very hard on the Fernald cleanup years ago, and with Senator Glenn, we expedited that cleanup, saving the taxpayers, we think, between $3 and $4 billion. So bottom line is, we have to clean it up. We should clean it up. The quicker we clean it up, the lower the cost is going to be the taxpayer, and the safer it's going to be for folks in southern Ohio, obviously. And also, the quicker we'll be able to move to reindustrialization of that site, as the President talked about in his commitment he made to Governor Strickland. It also is very important economically for our region. These 700 jobs are good-paying jobs. We lose these folks, it's going to be tough to be able to bring them back quickly because they will find other work, and it'll be devastating for not just Piketon, but that whole 6 or 7 county area in southern Ohio. So my question to you is, how can we get this commitment the President's made to be one that actually results in doing what the President said? In 2009, DOE made a secretarial commitment to the community saying that the agency was accelerating the cleanup in an effort to jumpstart the local economy and create jobs. $303 million was appropriated to initiate the cleanup. There was additional funds provided. Over the years, the administration has turned to selling or bartering uranium out of the nation's uranium stockpile to help fund the cleanup effort. Over the years, DOE has become even more reliant on these barter sales to maintain the schedule, to the point where uranium sales now fund 70% of the cleanup. I will say, when we had our Budget Committee hearing in 2012, I discussed this with Secretary Chu. The President's budget at that time contained a 33% cut to base appropriations to cleanup funding at Piketon and resulted in a greater reliance on barter sales, and I expressed my concern about that. And yet, we don't see a plan from the administration, short of more barter sales, which apparently the administration is also now believes is problematic. So I will tell you, part of my frustration is that Ohio was given no advanced notice of this, that the warn notices were going to go out. The first my office heard about it was actually from workers at the site, and from my conversations with appropriations committees in the House and the Senate, they weren't given any warning either. So I would guess my first question to you is, if these layoffs occur, you know, there's going to be a significant economic hit to our region. And if you're confirmed, I want to know whether you're going to work with us to maintain this accelerated cleanup schedule at the Piketon site.
Thank you, Senator Portman, and I appreciated the opportunity to talk about this issue with you in your office as well. I would just start by broadly noting that we as a nation have an obligation to cleaning up the legacy of the work that was done by communities all across this country in support of the nuclear program that has kept our country safe. And there are many sites in the DOE portfolio that face very tough challenges in, of course, you know them well in this committee, in Washington State, in Idaho, and other places. With regard to the Portsmouth facility, you observed that we have used uranium barter to fund the work at this site, and that the uranium prices have dropped significantly, which is presenting a challenge in the funding stream for this project. What I would commit to you, if confirmed, is that I would work closely with you to identify a way forward that acknowledges the important work of this community and that gets the job done as efficiently as possible. And I would also note, it would be my hope that, if confirmed, I would be able to have such an open dialogue with members of the committee that if we anticipate challenges such as you've described that will present hardship for your workforce in your states, that I would be able to talk with you in advance so that there is some warning when something like this will happen.
I appreciate the fact that you are willing to work on the communication. I think that's important. But specifically, if confirmed, would you support the barter program while also working with us to find a permanent and more stable funding stream for the cleanup at Piketon?
I do support the barter program, Senator, and if the barter program is not sufficient for funding our responsibility to complete the project, we will need to work together to identify additional sources of funding.
Thank you, Madam Tracy. My time has expired. Just one quick point, if I could. I received a letter on Tuesday from Herman Potter, the president of the local USW chapter, who I met with also last week, where he expressed his concern for the safety of his workers if these layoffs are allowed to occur. I would like to request that that letter be submitted for the record. I'd also like to request that the President's letter to Governor Strickland be submitted for the record.
Without objection, both documents will be submitted.